amazing event. It's a collaboration between the Career Center and the Research Park. I know many of you are curious, many of you have already been looking for some answers. Hopefully you'll find some more of that today. So we'll keep this door open for the next 5 minutes or so, just so that more people can come in without needing to open the door 5,000 times. And then we'll get started. Yeah. So some of you know me, some of you don't. My name is Dr. Pankaj Desai. I'm with the Career Center as the Senior Assistant Director for Inclusion Initiatives. Hopefully all of you have received a million emails from me by now. If you are an international student, I'm hoping I'm reaching out to everyone out there. Yeah. All right. Today we have some guests amidst us, and we'll take sort of the time to go through the guest list. Before which, if you all can quickly scan in, we are in the business of scanning QR codes, so please do that. I want to make sure that I'm connecting with you. All of you, please, at this point in time, check in once again. Even if you checked in at the front door, if you could do that, that'd be helpful. All right, take another 10 seconds to get checked in. This is also kind of a reminder for me to turn off the sweet music. All right, I hope everybody is done checking in. It is going to be my pleasure to introduce one of our international student career navigators, Zishwan here. And Zishwan will tell us who is with us from the Research Park.
Hello everyone, I'm very happy to introduce Brian, who is the talent manager at Research Park. He leads the workforce development and recruitment program for Research Park and client companies. He oversees the coordinated recruitment activities of Research Park for student and full-time talent, which include online promotion of positions, interacting with job seekers, planning, programming for recruitment events, and guiding talent strategy and development. Brian is new to the team, but brings a strong background in professional recruitment in the private sector with a focus on technology and hiring strategy, as well as a programmatic approach to talent development and pipeline. Complementing his recruitment background is a history of property management and theoretical performance and administration and direction. In his free time, Brian enjoys working with local community theaters, taking a walk or hike with his dog Rocky, and he is always seeking the next opportunity to learn something new. Let's welcome Brian.
Thanks, Zishwan. We have promised you a panel, so don't worry, the panel is going to happen. But before that, we thought we'll get some questions out of the way. Brian here will spend some time talking about their offerings, some common gateways into the Research Park, and some maybe common misconceptions. Yeah, all right.
All right, hello everyone. Hey, I love this, a lively crowd. So, as you heard, my name is Brian. I'm the talent manager at Research Park. And a lot of what I do is exactly as you might tell from the title. I deal with talent. And who's the talent? That's you. I also deal with full-time people, but they're not near as exciting. Let's talk about internships today. So a lot of my role is to come sort of be the representative of Research Park. Many of you will see a lot of our companies at career fairs, but what you might not know is we have over 120 companies. Typically, a lot of what you'll see are the bigger names. My job is to facilitate connections with not just those names, but all of them. And also to help guide you to where those opportunities are. And in this case, I get to come talk and embarrass myself in front of large classrooms. So I prepared a little slideshow here. We'll kind of go through this. A lot of this you probably heard either from me at a career fair as I recite our typical, or just going out. The first thing you'll find when you look us up, right? What is Research Park? We're a tech hub for cutting edge corporate technologies, right? We work with startups and the corporate innovation sites to strengthen the bridge between campus and community. I love all the buzzwords we feed into these, by the way. Enterprise Works is the next part, and we don't typically, I won't dwell on it too much, but it's where all of our startups are located. So it is an award-winning tech incubator. So this is where we have over 70 startups, including student, faculty, and otherwise, that all have some grounding in relation to University of Illinois. So what they do there is they launch, grow, and advance tech and science-based startups by helping them get funding, cultivating them, and my job, helping them find talent. Again, as you'll notice, as part of a lot of what we do, it's getting them to interact with you guys, right? Building out these talent strategies, building out pipelines, helping them do research by connecting them to you. These are just a couple of the companies that are located out in the park. Feel free to grab a picture of this slide. I'm also going to make this slide available afterward and can have it sent out. But these are just some of the many companies you've probably heard of: BP, Yahoo, Riverbed, Country Financial, whom we have a site director here in the room watching all of you, so be on your best behavior. AGCO, Brunswick, all of these are the more probably prominent sites you've heard of, right? The Fortune 500 or 100 companies that tend to attract some of that name brand balance. So, how does it work out in Research Park, right? Out in Research Park, we have student year-long internships. So instead of like what you might somewhat have been grown accustomed to or hear about, which is sort of that summer intensive of a 30, 40-hour work week working in Chicago at some company, one of the nice things about Research Park is we're able to facilitate internships year-round, allowing for part-time internships, 10 to 15 hours a week during fall and spring, and then continuing or starting in the summer with that, again, kind of summer intensive you're more familiar with. Our companies allow all types of students, freshmen all the way to PhD. So if you come up here and ask me if I'm a freshman, can I get a job? Don't, I just told you, you can. Many companies' talent strategy actually exclusively focuses sometimes on rising sophomores, right? Getting you in that first summer so that they can work with you for a couple of years. Another thing that's kind of fun to note is we have over 800 plus student interns in the park, and that is more than any other US university or research tech park. It's something that makes us very unique is our location and proximity to campus. I mean, we are literally a hop, skip, and a leap. If you look up other parks, many of them will be sometimes miles away from the campus, right? Here we have the really lovely opportunity that you can just hop on a bus and be at Research Park from practically anywhere on campus in less than 20 minutes. So, kind of just getting back to what we're all actually here for, what do we hire? And the answer is everything. And part of that means that a lot of you have to do a lot of research because you all have sometimes specific degrees or think your degree is more specific than it is. And you look at our job board and tell me at career fairs over and over again, Brian, I looked on the job board yesterday and I didn't see any jobs for me. Will I ever find a job in Research Park? And the answer is yes, but you have to keep looking. Part of the nature as we do hire year long is that the job board is ever changing. Every week we're putting new jobs up there, sometimes as few as 1 to 2, sometimes to the sadness of my intern, as many as 15 to 20 in one day. It is consistently growing because the needs of the companies are. There are, however, hiring cycles. And some of the strategy that you'll learn about today as you're looking for a job in the park is going to be focused on sometimes just identifying when do companies hire there, right? What is a good time to be looking? And the short answer is all the time, but if you want to get really ahead of the game, narrowing it down is going to be a key to success. So, international student hiring, that's what we're here for, right? It is something that I wish I could tell you was an easy answer, right? But the truth is, we have over 120 different companies, and that means 120 different hiring strategies. So when anyone asks me what companies are hiring internationally in the park, I have to say, well, I don't actually know, right? It can change from cycle to cycle. Some semesters, companies might be hiring, sometimes not. Sometimes within internally, there's organizational changes that will prevent them from hiring. There's 1,000 reasons. So unfortunately, as we will kind of float back to, a lot of your work as you're looking to find a role is just like for the average job seeker. It's getting that information and finding the best ways to identify it. And that way is most often, by the way, not reaching out to me. It's reaching out directly to students who work right at these companies, or reaching out to a site director before you maybe apply and saying, hey, is this a role that's open for international students, etc. We'll talk about the job board, and actually at the end of the presentation, as you're leaving, I'll have my intern give you a little QR code that will link you straight to it. If your goal is to get a job, the job board is your way to facilitate it. Our job board means if it's on there, it is a role in the park with a company that is hiring to place you there. Not to work out in Chicago, not to work necessarily in another state. You're looking to be placed to work here in the park. I'm going to assume that you learned how to apply for jobs, but to kind of give you just a quick overview, right? Check the board, go find the company that you're interested in, see if they have a role that's open for you. You will apply, and here's what will happen. You're not applying to us. One thing I get asked all the time, I cannot actually take your resumes, right? And well, let me clarify that. I can, but then it will go into my lovely circular drive on the floor that will be picked up by me later and thrown in the trash. Because the reality is I don't do anything with the hiring. My goal is to be a middle person between you and these companies to help you reach them. I don't actually facilitate and am in no part of the hiring process. So when you are looking, you will find our job board. You will click a link there that will take you directly to a company. This is something that's really useful and good to know because you're still hiring, for example, through the Rivian HR portal. Why it is important to check the job board, though, is again, you're clarifying that these are roles that are open here in the park, and also some roles are going to be through university elements. They'll just ask for a resume, right? They're not going to be asking for you to go through a full tenant portal, employee portal. So you really want to keep abreast of that. These are just some in-demand projects and skills. These are some I've heard over the last couple of weeks. UI UX is always in demand, data science, right? AI is the buzzword that nobody can get enough of. But we have a lot of other skill sets too. Civil engineering, business intelligence, project management, actuary science. I hope I got that right. I say that one wrong all the time. And then robotics. All of these are in the park, and they're always hiring at, again, different cycles. So, how do I get hired? Well, the best thing you can do, of course, yes, check the job board, but more importantly than that, check what companies you're interested in. I will tell you that if you ask any hiring manager I have worked with in my entire career, what is a way to get a job? The answer is not to walk up to them at a career fair and be like, hey, what kind of jobs are you hiring for? It's the people who walk up and are like, I saw that your company values are this and that you're hiring for a UI UX position. I would love to greater my understanding within that field and have a chance to intern with you and work alongside you. That is a much better value proposition than just, I was looking for a job and I thought your logo looked neat, right? You want to actually research these companies and see what they do. Another thing, and this is, you'll hear me say this again, come to Research Park, attend our events. We have a big block party. I'll be hosting an RSO leadership dinner. All of these are ways to get close to our companies and actually talk to the people who'd be hiring you. This isn't, again, like trying to work for Google and talking to 25 faceless recruiters. I've done that. It sucks. This is going, you are very likely to meet the director of a site, or at least the person who's in charge of hiring at our block party. At our career fairs, you will be talking with the person who will actually be reviewing your resume, as opposed to this theoretical person who's hiding behind a computer thousands of miles away. The last part, and you'll hear me say this again, talking to your peers who already work in the park is one of the best ways to get ahead of other students. Because if you know that the job is going to be on the job board in 2 days, you can have your resume ready to be the first applicant, as opposed to, I don't know, what was it, Julia, 400 applicants for your most recent position? Yeah, it's crazy, it's hyper competitive, and the truth is you want to be in that first 50. That's going to get you hired. Being number 400 means you are exceedingly less likely. Some of these are benefits. I won't focus too much on them. You're all here because you want to find an internship here, but obviously you get paid for real-world experience, you're pipelining to potential full-time opportunities, and you get to work along U of I peers. This slide is another one that you'll probably find very useful. These are companies who have recently hired in the park, and I will say this slide is a little dated. This is the thing, it changes every semester, but just being aware of who has had opportunities for international students previously is one of your best ways to get hired. An interesting stat, 73 of the corporate companies that in our park hire international students, and roughly 26% of our workforce is international. So there are at least a quarter of the opportunities available in the park that are currently being worked by international students. The opportunities are there, but again, they are still slightly more competitive. So these are my tips, and my own staff is so tired of me saying these that I try not to bore them with it, but the biggest thing for getting a job in the park is treating it like it's a job. It is wake up in the morning, be the first one to check, hey, that new role just opened up. I'm gonna apply today, right? I wanna make sure my application is one of the first in. Identifying networking opportunities, these can be passive, right? That's, for those who don't follow, that's like looking on LinkedIn and following a site director or following a hiring manager and finding opportunities to comment on what they say. That is useful. That gets your name out there. Active networking opportunities, come to Block Party, come to Career Fair, find opportunities to go and meet the companies, right? Do not, that being said, come out to the company's door and knock on it. That is not what anyone wants, right? You need to find facilitated, useful networking opportunities. And then cold networking. Cold networking, one of my favorite stats, 73% of interns say that their first internship came because of some amount of cold networking. Cold networking is, for example, going on the tenant directory and reaching out to someone about a job that you saw on the board, right? And reaching out to try to connect with someone to ask, am I a good fit for this skill set? It can be looking on LinkedIn and adding other staff who work at, for example, ADCO, and saying, hey, are there any jobs coming open? I just, we've been looking for a chance to work in the park. I saw that you're an intern there. Cold networking is one of the most effective, yet admittedly tedious, ways to get a job. What I like to actually tell people is that's how I got my job here in the park, was I happened to be networking with someone who referred me to the role I currently have now. The other one I already said, but just to reaffirm, find the opportunities that align with your current skill set, right? When a hiring manager is looking at your resume, they want to know that you're going to get something out of this too, but in a natural way, right? They want to know that they're investing effort in somebody who actually wants this career and they're not just looking for a summer internship. And lastly, I'll just note that you got to be patient, but be diligent. Again, it really is get up, look at the job board, find another way to network. I know on top of all of your coursework, this seems extraneous, but it's just part of the reality of getting a job. It can be very, very difficult, but don't let yourself get beaten down. Because just when you think it's not going to work is when you're going to get that one email back. The story I will share is I have a student who I give this very same advice to at Block Party. They have been following me to almost 4 different events. Last Friday, they came out to one of our events at Research Park, and they were introduced by our speaker to a hiring manager, and they have a final interview set up for Wednesday. It can be that easy. So, whenever you want more advice, and so that we can get to the panelists, the real meat, feel free to contact us. You can go on our email, shoot at UIRP Jobs, follow us on social media. This, for example, will be uploaded to YouTube. Lastly, you can reach out to me directly. I am the talent manager. My email is available on the website. The only thing I will tell you is, as you see, I'm very busy. I'm on here on campus a lot. I tend to respond to my email every 2 to 3 days, just realistically. I get often 100 to 200 emails per day from students. So just know that I'm super happy to go through and I will do my best to sort and talk to you. But know again that this is a better case of oftentimes many of our questions can be answered by you going to our FAQ, and I may just refer you there. But if you have something that is a question specific to a company, let me know. I'm happy to facilitate networking opportunities. That's my job. And with that, I'll turn it over.
Thank you, Brian. Now we'll get to our panel. So what we will do is, I'm assuming all of our panelists are here today. We'll introduce them, take a moment to kind of get a sense of who is with us, and also try and remember them as we will try and fill all of these seats, okay? So first on my list is Ananya. So could I have Ananya please join us here? Could we have a round of applause for Ananya? Thank you. And I'm going to ask my colleague here, Elizabeth, to go ahead and introduce Ananya.
Thank you. So today we have with us Ananya Tanwar. She's currently a process mining intern at Kohler, focusing on supply chain analytics. They've been with Kohler at the Research Park since May 2023. So she graduated this past May with a bachelor's in information systems and a minor in computer science from UIUC, and she's now pursuing a master's in information management degree at the iSchool. Welcome.
Next we have Abhijit. Sai Venkat Abhijit. Yeah? I tend to call him Abhijit. We'll ask him which one he prefers. Abhijit, right? Okay, please take a seat.
Abhijit is currently a master's student in computer science at the University of Illinois. He holds a Bachelor of Technology in Computer Science and Engineering with honors. Previously, as a Senior Tech Development Associate at Bank of America, his team significantly enhanced business strategies and client outcomes through their work on scoring models and risk management. He's already participated in the Career Center CCI program in spring 24 semester. Additionally, he's also worked as a teaching assistant for the Big Data Infrastructure course during the spring semester. Right now, Sai is a software developer and a project manager intern at Country Financial at the Research Park, where he has been for nearly 4 months, focusing on the development of data ingestion pipelines, cloud service migrations, and CRM integrations with the company's existing infrastructure. He worked as a project manager for the GitLab Cloud Runners project, which has been nominated as a finalist for the Research Park's Most Competent and Collaborative Team Award. He recently received a full-time offer from Country Financial. Congratulations and welcome.
Thank you. Next, I would like to invite Pia. Is Pia here? Yes. Pia Tucker will be introduced by my friend Kathy here.
So Pia is a second-year graduate student in information management at iSchool, originally from Mumbai, India. Pia interned at Country Financial over the summer, excelling in both data science and project management. Her contributions were recognized when she received the title of Most Outstanding Graduate Student at Research Park. Continuing her role into the fall semester, Pia remains passionate about innovation, professional growth, and building meaningful relationships within her work. Welcome.
And then we have Sumukh Shashidhar with us.
So Sumukh is a senior studying in computer science who began his professional journey at ACO and Research Park in 2021. He later worked at Yahoo as a big data engineer in Reston, Virginia, and he is currently a data science and research intern at Rivian, where he has contributed for nearly a year in both full-time and part-time roles. At Rivian, he researches the effect of hardware design on real-world fleet-wide performance to drive data-driven hardware architecture. In addition to his industry experience, Sumukh is a researcher in Professional Hangji's Blender Lab and Professional Dilek Haqqani Tur's Conversational AI Lab. He has 2 first author publications at EMNLP, the premier conference in natural language processing. Welcome, Sumukh.
Thank you. And then finally, we have with us Arjav Parekh.
We are happy to introduce Arthur Packer. Arthur is a second-year master's student in information management at University of Illinois. He has been working as a software engineering intern at Sequoia for the past 4 months and is currently pursuing a part-time co-op with the company. Arthur holds a bachelor's degree in information technology from Mumbai University. Welcome.
We took a little time to introduce all of these people a little more in detail because oftentimes there are some amazing things being done by almost everybody out there and not many of us speak about it. So wanted to make sure that we put the people and their awesome achievements right in front of you so that you see them in the context of their struggles, which they will of course share with us, but also in the context of their achievements and perhaps kind of guide you towards that journey. Yeah, I will echo whatever my friend here has said, Brian. It's a game of persistence. It's a game of staying in touch with your own inner strength. So we'll try and get to understand what their journey was like. And we'll find a way to try and do this without breaking something. Let's see. Do you mind if I put it right here? Feel free to take it close to you. How am I back there? Can you hear me?
Yeah. Good.
Okay. All right. So I have a few questions. What I've done is gone through a list of questions in my mind based on what I get asked about the research part. So hopefully some of your questions will be answered here. And I'll also stay mindful of time. We'll leave some time for you all to ask your fresh questions as you perhaps have encountered them coming into this or something that they say triggers a question in your mind. Sounds good? Okay, great. Awesome. So the first question is also a little more in terms of setting this up. Since you're 5 and the questions are many, let's try and do it in some sort of a rapid fire round where, of course, if you feel like you want to give some more context, you should. But at the same time, it will be helpful to wrap it up within a minute or so for response. Okay. So the first question people ask me is, how do I get in? Right? So people also ask, can you share your experience of how you secured an internship? How can I do it? But I'm personally interested in what resources or strategies help you the most during the application process. So whoever wants to go first, or we can do left, right, left.
Frankly, I just basically babysit the Research Park job board because it updates regularly. One tip I would mention is follow their Instagram page. I have a bad habit of looking at Instagram often, and they post their updated jobs almost like every week. I think, Brian, is that right?
Oh yeah.
Every week.
Mhm.
Yep. So look at that.
I'll just say that before coming for my master's, I'd chosen this university. One of the reasons was the research park. So I always had my eye on the research park of the companies which are hiring students from my major, which is information management, and Synchrony was one of them. So I, as Brian also earlier said, that cold emailing, cold connecting, that's what I did early on when I started my semester, and that was my initial preparation for that. And then the position came up during early Jan, and I applied it to the job board.
Honestly, in my first semester, I didn't know what Research Park was. So, but later when you get to know that your friends got placed in Research Park, then you tend to start applying for that. For me, I started working on my resume and cover letters, and then I started applying on the Research Park's job board. But I would say career fair helped me a lot. I drafted my elevator pitch. I gave my pitch after standing for 40 minutes in that line, but it did work. So they do take a note of potential candidates, and they do send it to hiring managers. Mm-hmm. So I attended that career fair, and later I was constantly checking the job board, Research Park job board, and then I applied to country, and yeah, it worked. Actually, I got a call after that.
Yeah, so I think my experience was that when I initially started doing computer science here, it was in 2021, so most of like the things were online. So I didn't do any networking initially. I just applied on the board, and I think like because of sheer dumb luck, I was able to get my first internship. But after that, like the way I got my Yahoo internship was also by talking to one of the engineers who actually works at the Champaign office. Who was able to say that, oh, we have a team out of Reston who actually works on the stuff that you are working on and have experience with, and that's how I was able to get that internship. And my most latest one, which is Rivian, the site manager was Misha, and she was actually at ACCO initially, and had applied to Rivian on the job board, never heard back. But I was able to talk to her saying that, oh, I know we worked together when we were at ACCO, and could you please like look at my application? And then like I was able to do well in the interview and go pass. I think like as Brian mentioned, and like I think as Pankaj as well mentioned, one of the most important things that you can do is like have this kind of warm connection, which is basically you need to somehow apply already knowing someone / like someone who has like some understanding of what your work is / how you work. Because like, yeah, there's thousands of people who apply like to every single board. So I think, yeah, that's my experience.
So I think one of the biggest, advice that I could give you is it's time to start using LinkedIn as much as you use Instagram right now, because for me, honestly, just networking on LinkedIn is what worked. So, and also a really big thing that played a part in my internship was probably referrals from my seniors and people who had already worked in these companies. So when I say referrals, I don't mean that just reach out to them the day you sort of see an opening and you're like, oh, I see your opening, can you just refer me? I don't think anybody's going to have the time to refer you within 10 minutes or 1 hour of the job going online. So I would recommend building those connections over time so that when you actually want to apply, you can leverage those.
Great, awesome. So we are hearing kind of different themes here, right? So somebody's like, I didn't even know, and then I figured it out. Somebody's like, I have been wanting to be in this place, in this kind of specific location for a long time now. So it's kind of everything in between that, right? So if you just woke up to what the research park is, that's fine. The question is how much preparation are you willing to put in? And that's kind of the entire game here, right? So a lot is dependent sort of in terms of your preparation before you arrive here, but a lot can also happen after you have come here. Yeah, so it's a process. That's where my kind of role comes in. We say come to the career center for that purpose. So talk to us a little more about challenges that you faced. What kind of journey was it as you went about securing internships? If you just had this one, talk about it, but otherwise something else out there is also
good. So I think it is safe to say that international students face like the highest amount of challenges when it comes to securing an internship or even like a full-time position. It's sad, but unfortunately that's the reality. So I feel like every single one of us sitting here have faced like fair amount of challenges. But the bright side to that is how you grow, and through all those experiences, through all those rejections, through all those pushing yourself to actually connect to a stranger on LinkedIn is what sort of got me over here. So definitely I think I might have applied to almost like 550 to 600 internships before landing this one. And then I think I also had like 3 interviews, 2 of which I could not like clear the last round, and this is where I got. So it's like an entire process that sort of brings you to the end of the tunnel.
If you hear that it was 550, 550 to 600.
Wow.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure people heard that. Yeah.
I think one of the interesting things about Research Park is that since we are located in Champaign and then we don't have like, it's not like a major city, it's one of the best places to get your career started, just because you're only competing with other people who are at the university. And you're not competing with everyone across the US or everyone like everywhere else. So I think that's one of the plus points. The minus point is that we are also an extremely large university, so each, I think one that people have already mentioned is that each application has 500 plus applicants minimum, like these days at least. So, and it's very hard to tell from a resume, especially with, I guess, like AI tools like ChatGPT. Anyone can like write a really good resume. So it's very hard to tell. So I think that's one of the challenges. Like, and I know that's something that like my site director and other people also like keep talking about, which is that it's very hard to tell who's a good applicant. So if you think you're a good applicant for a role, I think application is the pre-qualifier, and then now you have to like essentially talk, because as I said, right, like even though I was qualified, even though I was able to clear the interviews and things like that for my role, and I've been working for over a year with good amount of impact to the company, I was not able to get the initial cold application going through, right? So I had to know like the site director, and she had to know that I work well, I have like a good amount of experience in this stuff, before she was even able to like pass my application over to a hiring manager. So there is a good amount of that, which is that there's just so many people and there's just not enough jobs to go around. So it's a problem, yeah.
So some of the challenges that I faced were, I used to send out mini applications, for example, like 200, 300 applications, but I didn't get any callbacks. I thought it was there was some problem with my resume, or it was not going through the ATS software. So what you have to do is like keep on updating your resume, keep on updating the way you approach to a person and give your elevator pitch. Draft your elevator pitch in such a way that in 30 seconds you have to sell yourself. And then, especially in Research Park, when compared with the other companies out there, people actually look at your resumes. I mean, people actually print out your resumes, they look at your qualifications and then make a decision, unlike the ATS software used by the other companies. So I think you'll have a pretty higher chance if you actually draft your resume in a proper way.
Yeah, so even I gave around 500 to 600 applications for internships, and I had my interview for Synchrony around February or March, and I didn't hear back from them till like start of May. So I had planned to go back to India, maybe just work on my skill set, upskill myself and whatever. But at the end, I got the call from Synchrony that we'll hire you for a position. That was on a random day during a presentation of my lecture. I got a call from them, so I was really happy on that. But talking about the struggle, so I had a few interview calls from other companies, but the job was a very not of my interest. It was just using Excel, and those jobs you don't want to do it when you are in your master's, and maybe if it's not your goal, you probably don't want to do that. And I didn't have any work experience from after my undergrad, so starting to apply, people said apply in October, apply early to increase your chances. I didn't have much to put on my resume, and as you said, you need to keep on changing your resume, but then you have a doubt that which resume is correct. Am I putting in the right resume? Was the previous one better? So you never know till you get an interview call, and it can click anytime.
For me, I found my job at Kohler. I turned out lucky. I did not connect with anyone. I just applied, got a call back. But what I did was tailor my resume for that job. I had some previous experience in what they wanted for their project. I highlighted that. I made sure to include like a paragraph of that in my cover letter when I sent it out. So do those things. It definitely helps when you reach out to people on LinkedIn. Now I've done resume reviews with my manager at Kohler, and I know how, the inside of how it works. So it definitely helps when you just text them on LinkedIn. They'll remember your face even if they don't text you back. Sometimes they know that you reached out and you put in that effort. So do that.
Awesome. So as you can see, the challenges are few, but the tools are many. Yeah. In many ways, you'll see that the internships are the bread and butter of many of these companies. So they want talent, but at the same time, there's so many of us vying for similar positions. It makes it very competitive. So what is a reasonable number? You heard it out there. Seems like we are talking about 500 applications. If you had asked me 2 years ago, I would have said maybe 300. Seems like we are moving higher and higher. Maybe it is not so true. It is just a sample size that we have here. Yep. So on that note, I want to switch to Okay, so everybody's trying to get an internship, everybody is perhaps wanting the same internships. What does it look like from within? I don't know how many of you have friends or colleagues or people you can talk to really understand the day-to-day and the benefit of actually working at Research Park. So could you all take turns to shed a little light on your roles? What is it that you did during your internships? And what did you gain out of it? This segment can be slightly longer.
Sure.
Please do.
So my role at Kohler, I'm a process mining intern. Technically, it's data analytics for their supply chain teams and very BI related also. I use Python, I use Power BI for most of my projects. They have a process mining tool that helps you visualize what's happening in Kohler's supply chain. My projects are aligned with analyzing and looking for any bottlenecks, looking for the root cause, fixing that. I'm trying to optimize our processes. I'll just give you a brief overview of what process mining is. So the supply chain, it starts with when the customer orders something and it ends once the product is delivered to their house. So between that, there can be a lot of manual changes within the system or just interactions, any interruptions. I look at that, and I think working at Kohler has also helped me with my social skills and just being able to talk to people more freely about my experience, learn from their experiences. We've had a bunch of networking opportunities. We went up to Kohler, Wisconsin, and I've in fact presented my projects to VPs at Kohler who flew down here. I think that was a little challenging, I guess, but it's interesting to be able to do that, to boil down all the technical details, showcase that to actual stakeholders at the company.
My role is software engineering intern in test. So basically I create automation test scripts to test the cloud application of Synchrony, and this is what I started off with. There were test suites which needed to be automated. So basically what it does is that every 2 to 3 hours a test suite is run across the application to test different functionalities of the application and to check for any bugs or not. And then I showed some interest in front-end engineering, so they were kind enough to let me move on to a different team and explore the front-end engineering part, where I was responded again in the cloud team itself, where I worked to create an application to monitor the health of APIs of the company. And Synchrony follows an agile methodology. So if anyone knows agile, it's like there are scrum meetings, daily stand-ups. So this was all new to me, but it was like a great learning experience, going on a call daily, sharing what's blocking you, what you're planning to accomplish, and what you have completed. So this has been a great learning experience, and I hope to learn more over the course of the semester.
At least in this Research Park internship experience, it never felt like I was working for a company. It was like sitting with a bunch of friends and working on a class project. So when I started working at Country, I started as a software developer intern, and my manager reached out to me if you're interested in being a project manager for GitLab Cloud Runners project. I was like, I'm completely new to it, but she encouraged me to take up the role, and I did. And that experience actually helped me in getting to know how projects are managed and talking to tech sponsors and scheduling meetings and taking care of whatever is required for a project. In addition to all the tech stuff that is involved, I really liked working over there because I made new friends. We had this team outings and digital lab activities and research park activities. So where we bonded more, and more than fellow interns, we've been friends over there. And coming to the projects that I've worked on developing data ingestion pipelines, migrating servers to cloud, and also on Salesforce CRM integration as well.
I think those are some pretty interesting things that people have worked on. I think I will like take some time to just talk about like what the main skill sets that I've developed over like what I'm working on. A brief summary of what I'm working on is essentially like for when people design things for cars, they put them and since Rivian's a new company, it's not like Ford or any legacy automaker. We don't really know what's going to happen out there in the real world. So I think my thing is like petabytes and petabytes of like telemetry data is locked up, and my thing is to basically try and understand how hardware is working with regard to that. I think the main things that I have learned, and I think like been an intern in Research Park for over like I think like 3 years at this point or 2 years at this point, part-time and full-times. And the main thing is, one is time management. You think that, oh, I can only do X amount of work, but then you realize that, oh, there's a work deadline and like maybe I have a research deadline and I have an exam and a class coming up, and like it feels always that, oh, you're gonna do a lot of things, like, but somehow always time works out to do that. So, and then next, when you go out into your like professional lives, you'll also be able to like manage more things just because like you have this additional experience of working at an internship. The other thing is presentation. One of the things that class is good at, like, or class and like in classes are good at, is just basically you're able to develop and work on projects that you like, and like you can develop and like you can present them to like people. But when you're in this professional capacity, especially as an intern here, you'll also learn how do you present these things to people who may not be very big experts in what you're working on. And I think that's been the single biggest thing that I've learned, which is basically how do you make a good PowerPoint, because it may seem like something that's really easy to do, but the more you do it, the more you realize, oh, there's so many things that you can do to make a good PowerPoint or a good presentation better, so that you can communicate your ideas clearly to someone else. So I think those are some interesting things that
One of the best things for me throughout my summer internship was that how not just like my company, Country Financial, but like Research Park in general sort of recognizes that you do not have to have all the skill sets that are needed for a job. They really understand that you're just starting out and you might not know everything that's needed for the job, but if you really show initiative and if you really want to work with a bunch of technology and you're really passionate about a project, they're more than willing to sort of take that chance on you. So having said that, I've worked on like 2 projects during the summer, one of which I was a data scientist intern for, wherein I worked with the data engineering and analytics team, building basically ingestion pipelines and curating data into the data lake for the company. And then the second project was a little bit more marketing and business oriented, wherein I was the project manager for, where we developed data strategies for integrating Salesforce Data Cloud into our system. And now for the fall semester, I'm actually working on a more quality assurance project, which is more of like building automated test cases. So as you can see, these are like very different, varied amount of experiences that I've had through these projects, and that is again one of the best parts about the research part.
Thanks for taking the time to go through all of this. I hope people got a good overview of what is it that they gained. Before I ask my next question, which I'm excited about, anyone who has a question here, how many of you have a question ready to go? Is that already signed? Okay, what's your question?
Yeah, people have mentioned reaching out on LinkedIn as a great way to get something going. Do you have any more kind of specifics around your advice for reaching out on LinkedIn?
Okay, I don't think I was the one who said that, but okay, I think the specifics are like, I think it would not, like, at least in my experience, it hasn't worked to just like, reach out to LinkedIn with a generic message. You have to like actually, make a more targeted approach. So, instead of like sending a templated like, message to like 500 people, it would make more sense to like maybe, target them into maybe, oh, I saw you, we both took this class together, or I remember you were working on this, like, or we met here, and then send that to 50 people, because I think that will, increase your conversion rate a lot, which makes more sense. That would be my tips.
I can add on to that a little more. He already mentioned, tailoring messages definitely helps instead of just sending out like a regular template. And also, oftentimes, if you notice, people do write down, project descriptions in their profiles as to what they've actually done in those projects. So to actually, spend time on their LinkedIn profile and reading what they've done, and if that's actually interesting to you, you could reach out saying that, oh, I read about this on your profile. It sounds really interesting. Could we, even set up like a 15-minute coffee chat to, sort of learn more about your company or your project. That way the person knows you're really invested into it and you're doing it with a purpose and not just for like getting an internship or a job.
Do we have another question ready to go? Okay, I jump in. Okay, yes.
I want to ask you what kind of question you will ask to for the reaching out. Because I think asking questions about the hiring manager or the employee will show your interest for the company and show you're familiar with this company. But I don't know what question to ask. Sometimes I think the questions like what's your day-to-day life, what's your day-to-day work is too general. And some questions it is too specific. And the hiring manager, they don't know what the specific job relates to in your position, but they have the authorities to hire you. But the employees, they know about your position, but they don't have the authority to hire you. So I don't know what question to ask for reaching out. Would you guys like to give me some hints and share your experiences? Thank you very much.
Maybe a couple of you can answer and we can take more questions.
Okay, to answer that question, maybe try doing some research on what they're currently working on. Maybe try reaching out to people who are already working in that company, get to know about their company, their goals, and draft questions in such a way that it aligns both with the company's interests and your personal goals as well. So if you frame a question based on your personal interests that align with company's future goals, then I think that would be an interesting question to.
One other thing, as being on the receiving end, I think once you're I think all of our panelists can also agree is that people send out a lot of these messages reaching out to people. I think you would do better to err on the side of specificness when reaching out to interns or people who are already in the role, because they can be they can tell you what is needed and they can help you tailor your resume and things like that. But after the first 100 messages or so that you get from people that are I noticed that you are a XXX intern at Rivian, what is your day-to-day life, which, as you said, is not very interesting for us to respond to, right? I think it would make more sense to say, oh, I noticed that you guys use Databricks, how do you manage this kind of data, right? So I think that would be more interesting for, from the perspective of interns to actually respond to that, and then you can continue the conversation from there to ask on, oh, what do you guys usually work on, and then you can tailor your resume, build those skill sets. So I think that makes more sense. For site directors, I think site directors can respond on how you can reach out to them best. But yeah, that would be my perspective.
That leads me to ask you, oftentimes what happens is international students are trying to get in, and there is that insight which develops for applying 500 times, right? You get wiser and wiser each time. So what I have been burning to know about is, what is your special insight now that you've got in, that you would have? Perhaps you should do something differently. Now you mentioned there that you worked with a recruiter and you actually saw what the recruitment process looks like. Could you start there and share some insights? What kind of people are they looking for? What skills are valued? How does somebody showcase that before getting?
At least for Kohler, I know that they take students who are internationals, and OPT or CPT isn't a big issue. So just tailor your own portfolio to that job. Show why you are good at that specific thing. Reach out to people, as what everyone has said. That helps. That highlights your name. They'll remember you. Apart from that, I think just tailoring and making sure your resume caters to that specific position helps a lot.
So the reason I mentioned that I got my position very late, it was that an opening just opened up which matched the exact keywords which my resume had, and luckily that's why they reached out to me and gave me the offer. So I recently there were a few career fairs. I was a part of those career fairs with Synchrony, and so what they usually do is they will match your resume with the openings and just check for the keywords. If you have those keywords in your resume, the skill sets, the project experience, if you have that and the any open positions is requiring that, then they will contact you for an interview. So sometimes it's just about the right position being open for you and the keywords being matching to the position.
I remember, I think in fall 23, I reached out to Dr. Pankaj asking for a specific plan or like strategy to get a job. But finally I realized that there's no plan that you can actually follow. You have to like try and like fail and then do it again and again. Because I've seen few companies look for those keywords as he mentioned, all the buzz keywords, but when I was actually in the company and when I was actually looking at the hiring process, few managers look at your skills beyond technical, such as how could you be a good fit in that team, how can you work in a cross-functional team, and how additional value other than, because whatever the stuff you can do, a ChatGPT can do it, but as an intern you should bring additional skills that a machine can't do it. So that we look skills for like that. So try to mention those in your resume as well, so that people actually will see that in your resume, at least in the research part.
Yeah, I think initially my approach was to just spray apply. Like if you think you have like a machine gun and you keep shooting your resumes like out to every like role that you see that has any upload button or like a PDF this thing. But I think over time it makes more sense to be like just a single like bullet that you shoot like in one direction. At the end of the day, you don't need like 1,000 companies to give you offers. You need one, right? So that, and you want to. It needs to be a place that you would want to work at. So it makes sense to maybe like tone it down and think about, okay, so this is the role that I want. These are the companies that I want to work at. What skills do I have to align with that? There's various things. Like one other thing is like tailoring resume. One advice that I guess got from peers and things like that is just have like 50 versions of your resume that are tailored to specific job roles. So for example, like a data analyst may need to communicate more about how they their communication skills, or how they can digest like complex concepts into simple like insights that they can deliver to other people. Like that would be a role. But if you were saying a data engineer, they would need to focus more on the scale of the data they handle or how well they handle it. So there's different things that you can find within your experiences to tailor to job roles, and you want to try and show that you are the best fit for that role as much as possible. So targeting down into smaller like chunks would be the best thing, because I think applying to a random company somewhere in Oregon with like no like background there, or like you don't have too much of a relationship with it, is like not gonna get you what you want. You want to try and tone it down. Yeah.
There was one part of your question that said, now being in this position, what is it that I would do differently after knowing all of this? So if I think I would probably do this for my full-time applications now, is have like a portfolio website, or even like attach like a portfolio of like, because I'm into like dashboards and business intelligence, probably like even a dashboard portfolio or something. Because just think about it logically, every single recruiter gets like so many resumes, even say so many cover letters, if you sort of assume. There has to be something different that they are curious to know about you in a way that you would actually stand out. Like think of that website as like basically a dump wherein you can add everything, right? Like any certifications that you've done, or any cool presentations application that you made, every single thing that you think you want a recruiter to know but is not on your resume can actually go into your website. The reason I didn't do that during my internship was because I don't think I had so many experiences to put on my profile at that point of time. But thanks to Country Financial, I have had like a lot of experiences. So I think one of my next plan of actions would be to build like a portfolio website. And I know it sounds very time consuming, especially with all the coursework and just even cold applying and networking. But trust me, it is worth the time spent into it.
Pretty amazing. I know we are at time. I wish I could continue to listen to all of them. I have another quick question, maybe Brian and our guest in the room could. Everybody here perhaps is very familiar with the dangerous question out there. Do you now or in the future? Right? Require sponsorship. Yeah. So what is the official word out there? Any advice that you would like to give from your perspective?
Do you want to take this one or do you want me to?
Go ahead. I can add to it.
It's tough. I'm gonna piggyback on something that Pia said, which is there is an absolute truth that being an international student does make hiring more difficult, right? You're going to have the greatest challenges. And the answer is, yeah, I think you do want to ask that question. You want to go ahead and get it out there because you save yourself some heartbreak. Because the thing is, one of the things that's really nice about Research Park, as we've identified, I think, over the course of this conversation, if I could sum it up, right, what does it come down to? Be diligent, be patient, work hard, and humanize yourself while demonstrating your skills. The great thing about Research Park is you get to do that with real people. I pull at Julia, who didn't realize she was going to be put on the spot by showing up today. But it allows yourself to really tell that story directly to a site director, right? Or directly to your person who's going to at least review your resume. And so, yeah, you want to go ahead and ask and get it out of the way up front. Maybe you lead in with how you're a super cool person who builds robots in their spare time and launched a rocket to the moon. Like, yeah, but you do. You have to be, I think, forthright and genuine. Because that's the only thing you took away from anything today is that if you are genuine, that's going to be the most important element.
And I would add to that, I mean, Country Financial, we do sponsor and hire international students. As Sai, just as our newest hire, he starts right when he graduates in December, so that's exciting. So not all companies, they're all different out there, so it is valid to ask that question. Just every company has different policies on that. But I would echo what you all have said, what Brian just kind of summed up. It's like, I'm really looking for that. Show me you. I want to know you. Everybody in this room and on that panel is super tech. They can do it. But I want to know you. So that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Great. Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone. Could we put our hands together for our Thank you so much for your time. I just want to quickly invite you all once again to visit the Career Center. It's a great opportunity that you are here in the United States. Many of you have planned it out.